Greetings from the University Club in San Diego. As promised yesterday, I mentioned that I was going to be coming to you from a much nicer place, and this is it. So this is the gorgeous view of San Diego Bay there that I get to enjoy when I'm back here in San Diego and have a blast doing it. So hope everyone's doing well. This is, day 15 of my 20-day challenge to myself here. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about the alignment between sales and marketing. Last night I got together for a drink with a friend of mine who was talking about some of the challenges that he was having working with a company, working with a client of his. He's on the marketing side, and he would send leads to the sales team, and they would just ignore them. Right? They wouldn't address them. They wouldn't call them on them. They would just kind of let them go. And then, of course, they would complain about the fact that marketing doesn't provide any leads. And it's funny that he kind of brought this up because, I talk about this a lot, right? Sales and marketing have an issue with alignment. And it's ironic because, you're dealing with two sides of the same team, right? You're dealing with two sides of the same coin. It's your revenue team, right? I mean, marketing is kind of setting it up and sales is knocking them down. So ideally, they should be working pretty well together, but oftentimes they're just not. And so, how do we address that, right? How do we create this kind of this true team mentality so that at the end of the day, you have a strong performing revenue team? And really, what it comes down to is, I've been talking a lot about lead scoring, and this actually plays really well into that conversation as well. It's a really beneficial way to go about developing this. You can build out a demographic lead score, and I know I talked about this recently, but I thought I'd touch on this again because it's super important, and it's something that you really want to focus on, you really want to dial in on, because while you're out there marketing, my favorite story, and I know I mentioned this not too long the other day, but my favorite story is the marketing team that was generating leads over and over and over again. These people were filling out forms online all the time, and then it turns out when the salespeople calling them, it was the janitor that they were talking to, and not the hospital administrator or not the CEO, right? So you end up dealing with the wrong person if the wrong person's filling out the form, right? And so oftentimes when marketing thinks that they're making the phone ring, they're getting people to fill out the forms, they're getting people to reach out and email, what have you. Oftentimes it's just bad contacts. It's just bad people. I mean, bad prospects, I guess, more accurately. And so, realistically, demographic lead scoring, being able to pull that information out of a contact when they fill out a form, so making sure that there's a title in there, making sure that there's some information in there that you can use to identify who they are and where they are and what the revenue is and all those different things, right? And then you can score based on that. So if it's a CEO, it's worth 100 points. If it's a janitor or facilities manager, maybe it's worth -10. If their revenue is somewhere between $1 million and $5 million, then it's worth 50 points. If the revenue is inside of, maybe you have a sweet spot of $1 million to $20 million in revenue, and so if you have somebody that's got a $50 million company filling out your form, maybe that's not such a good thing, right? And so being realistic about that is really important. And so you can set this up, and you can work with your team, work with your sales team and your marketing team, and make sure that both teams are part of this process. Because if it's not the case, then marketing is going to think one thing, and they're going to be super stoked that they've got all these people filling out forms, and then the sales team is going to be calling on people, and they're going to say, no, you know what, fine, you filled out a form, but look at look at who I'm calling, right? So I'm not going to talk to the leads anymore. And unfortunately, salespeople tend to get kind of worn out on these, and I'm speaking from experience because I've also gotten bad leads and had to call only to find out that I was reaching out to the completely wrong person. But excuse me. So salespeople tend to get kind of worn out on this, and so at the end of the day, when marketing sends them a lead, they kind of get to a point where they just assume that it's not going to be good. So if you're in that position, if you find yourself in that position, have a conversation with them. Sit down with both sides of the equation. Sit down with the marketing team and sit down with the sales team, or at least one representative from each. Make sure that marketing knows exactly what sales is expecting and what sales qualifies as a good lead. Because if they're not talking to the right person, they're never going to make a sale, and all your marketing efforts don't matter. So anyway, hope you're all having a good day, and I look forward to talking to you again very soon. See you tomorrow.